Conroe. Welcome back to a brand new edition of Nerd Thug Sports right here on 104.5, 106.1, the sister stations. Streaming worldwide at irlonestar.com. As always, make sure to check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/Nerd Thug Radio. That's the mothership where it all goes down. Joining me, Corey DLG, on this episode of Nerd Thug Sports is new host, Austin Ford. How are you, sir?
Boom. Doing good, buddy.
So this is COVID has screwed up the calendar so much that right now typically we'd be a month into an NBA season and we'd be coming up on the crown jewel early season games, the Christmas games. Now Christmas is like the debut of the season. We just started preseason. So we'll do like our NBA predictions and kind of conversation about the upcoming season with this episode, the last episode of the year. I guess we got to get into this first, though. News broke on Yahoo that essentially the Rockets are, I'm trying to think the radio appropriate way to say this, big baby whiny children that belong to James Harden.
Surprise.
Now, privately, we've had discussions in the bro text. You've never been a fan of James Harden, and you correctly have said that we will never win a title with James Harden. I think James Harden's skill set is incredible. It's hard for me to imagine that a team with a guy like that can't win. But now that it's coming out about the culture behind the scenes, it's very surprising that a professional sports franchise would. Well, you know what? It is and it isn't, and I'll get into why I think it's not here in a minute. But initial, I guess, take your walk of victory here. You were right.
Yeah, I know. I was right. I was telling you and everybody else, for years, I didn't think that they would really. Pretty much that I didn't think that they'd win with him, and it had nothing to do with the fact of his skill set. Like you said, he's like everyone knows he's probably one of the greatest offensive players we've seen, in our generation personally. He's incredible, but there's other things that go along with that. We touched base on this, the last time we talked, but yeah, this is exactly what I said was going on the whole time.
It's surprising though, the level, like you were saying, like, oh yeah, they kind of just let him get away with whatever he wants. They don't really and they do that with stars, but now it's coming out that Russell Westbrook was shocked how the Rockets behaved around James Harden. That's a huge revelation to me because I'm pretty sure the Thunder were suckling pretty hard from the teat of Russell Westbrook. So the idea that Russell Westbrook gets here and is like, oh, they let you do this? Oh my God. That's kind of shocking.
Yeah, well, again, we've had these conversations before where I've said, there's a lot of grumblings that he has to do with who plays what minutes and things like that even, and how do you get away with that?
Well, now every player, though, I feel like kind of picks the running mates a little bit.
Yeah, but to actually, and it's okay to voice your opinion, and that those coaches a lot of times will, especially with stars, they're gonna try and help them out and let them play with their running mates or whatever, however you want to put it. But there's a difference between pandering a little bit to them and letting them actually control it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think you're starting to see some of this stuff get out now that the noise has broke about him. That's kind of what's been happening.
Yeah, and I think so. Here's what's surprising. I'll say this: stars get treated differently. I'll use a couple different examples that I know of. In the 30 for 30, when they talk about that Orlando Magic run with Shaquille and Penny Hardaway, the way Penny Hardaway got himself onto the Orlando Magic is they filmed Blue Chips together. And Penny's agent was basically like, listen, you become Shaquille O'Neal's favorite person. And so Penny Hardaway spent the entire movie passing the ball to Shaquille O'Neal every time Shaquille O'Neal was open and making Shaquille O'Neal look like an Oscar-winning basketball player.
Yeah.
And so when shooting breaks and the off season's over and Shaquille O'Neal finds out that Penny Hardaway's in the draft, he goes to Orlando and he says, "That's the guy I want on my team." They drafted somebody else in the draft, but then they wind up making a trade during the draft and getting Penny Hardaway in and making Shaquille O'Neal happy. And obviously that's what you would. I mean, if you have 20-year-old Shaquille O'Neal, you want to make him happy. I know in Cleveland there was a little bit of rumbling because LeBron James's entourage would sometimes set the travel schedule for the team. In other words, like let's say Drake was having a party in Toronto. Instead of flying back that night, they might go to the Drake party and fly back in the morning from Toronto.
Yeah.
And that was based on like LeBron's entourage was like, no, we want to go to the Drake party. And LeBron's like, yeah, let's go to the Drake party. And then once LeBron says it, it kind of doesn't matter. So there are instances where stuff like that comes out, and I get it. There was somebody who, I don't remember who it was, but he was going to sign somewhere, but he traveled with his family, and Isaiah Thomas basically told him that no, we don't let family travel on the plane. And so he didn't sign there. And two of the other players were like, my agent travels with us all the time. Like, what's he talking about? So like it was clear that the coach or Isaiah Thomas just didn't want that guy signing with the Knicks as whoever. I'm trying to think who it was.
Yeah.
So like to an extent I understand franchises treating the star players a little differently. I guess there's just a little bit of a level of surprise at like I don't know the amount of difference. Like
it shouldn't surprise you at all. I've been telling you this for years.
Well, yeah, but you're wrong about a lot of things too. And I know that you know a lot of the people inside the organization, but to me, there's going to be people who always feed things to people. Like if they don't like James Harden, they're going to tell you the worst things and not necessarily the other stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but so like it just kind of it surprises me the idea. Like so, Tillman Fertitta bought the team 4 years ago now, and he let it continue. That's weird to me. Like the new owner would have been a time when he could have been like, "Yeah, we don't do that."
Yeah, and I have no idea how much he does or doesn't know or have hands-on involved in that, and there, I'm sure obviously people closer to to them kind of probably realize that. So, I mean, you never know that, but like, I get, like you said, all these teams, if they have some of these bigger stars, they're going to cater to them one way or another. But I mean, this is exactly what I kind of was saying was kind of like my fear and kind of the vibe that I was getting from different people, not only in their organization, but other organizations of this was like a well-known fact. Like everybody, it's not a secret. I mean, it's just people haven't really talked about it because he's been quote unquote happy in Houston. Well, now that he's not, everybody's opening up their mouth and you're finding out that this was not a secret. They all knew about it.
Yeah.
All the other teams, the players knew about it. Some of these people knew about it. And I think that, maybe somebody like Westbrook that has clearly heard this before, like that this might be the way it was going to be when he came to Houston. But when he got here, I think he probably realized like, holy crap, this is a whole nother level.
Do you think that like internally as rumors circulate, everyone's just kind of like, nah, I can't really be like that because nobody else has it that quote unquote good?
Probably, or they're probably buddy, like Westbrook and Harden. I don't know how close they were, but I mean, I know that they were, quote unquote friends, so he's probably like, well, I know him. That's my boy. Like, I'll go there. It's not going to be that bad. And then he gets there. He's like, oh man, this is terrible. I mean, you think about it. That's two big guys. Chris Paul, even though Paul's older, obviously, Chris Paul comes in, doesn't work out. He's like, oh man, this is awful. He's gone. Westbrook makes it a year and he's like, oh geez, this is terrible. Like, that's not good.
No, it's not. And it started with Dwight Howard before that too. That was when Dwight Howard was still somebody that teams thought they wanted to get. Dwight Howard left here just as quickly as he left LA, and everyone thought like, oh well, it was Dwight Howard's fault. But now, looking back, it might have been James Harden who ran him out.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I guess it's just surprising. Like, okay, everyone knew that James Harden likes the strip clubs. Everyone knows, James Harden's about that life. Like, but and I've thought about this a lot. I've thought about this a lot today.
Strip clubs?
Yeah, absolutely. No, well, okay, if I'm a single guy with $400 million in my pocket, because keep in mind, it's a $200 million Rockets contract and a $200 million Adidas contract, right? So it's like,
yeah,
he's getting double paid. And actually, Adidas pays him more than his NBA salary, that makes me a little uncomfortable.
That's impressive.
Like if Adidas is like, go for the dunk, and the Rockets are like, take the foul. Like, we all know who he's going to, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I don't begrudge him the greatest lifestyle in the world. He's a young, incredibly wealthy guy with another 7 to 10 years of amazing earning ahead of him. As long as he doesn't run himself out of the league, you know what I mean? Like, I guess what's surprising to me is the level it has to be at for the franchise to be concerned. It's surprising to me that it's at a level that he will miss the NBA preseason and training camp to go to a party in a strip club.
He, by the looks of him, he went to several parties.
Yeah,
did you see him?
He looks a little round, man. Now, granted, okay. Now I want to say this.
He'll wear it all halfway through the season.
I want to specifically say this and be fair to him. He never looks in shape. Like, James Harden never looks in shape, but the dude does like high speed jog walk all game. He does play a solid 42 minutes a game. Like, the guy plays a monster amount of time and a monster percentage of the game. So his conditioning, I won't knock. However, he does look particularly out of shape right now.
He looked like Kendrick Perkins.
If Kendrick Perkins lost 20 pounds, I think it's what it would look like. Like, I think it's, and who knows, it might all be, you know how, like, sometimes guys get fit and then, like, they get weird, like, bubble gut fit? Like, I don't know what causes that. Where, like, they're actually in shape, but they just have this weird gut structure now.
Yeah. He's going to look at, like, mid-season, he's going to look just like he always did. I mean,
yeah, I'm not concerned about his performance. Like, I don't think he's going to go out there and score 15 points a game this year. The guy turned down $150 million for 3 more years. So I know he thinks he's got it in him. I'm just sort of surprised, I guess.
There's nothing to say he doesn't have it in him either. But I don't know that it will necessarily be for the Rockets. I mean, like, it's too damaged to fix. Like, this guy in a Houston uniform is not going to change the way he is, and that may be good or bad. I particularly think it's probably a bad thing.
Well, at this point, it's clearly shown itself to be a problem. I mean, I can't disagree with that.
He's in Houston. That's just the way it is. He's not going to go away from that. You're not going to have anybody come in and say, "All right, James, like, now you can't determine who's playing and not playing." That's not going to go over well. He's got to go somewhere else. He's got to go somewhere else. And you never know, going somewhere else might fix that problem if he's not catered to or something. A switch may go off and he may win 5 championships with that other team. I don't know. But what I always said was he's not going to win a championship with the Rockets. It will never happen.
And honestly, at this point, they haven't. It's coming out now why that's more likely than ever before. Before, there wasn't anything in the public to support the idea that the Rockets had catered to him so badly that he has basically broken this franchise. But now it seems pretty clear that James Harden's going to do what James Harden's going to do, and there's really not a lot anyone can say about it. Like, early in his career, when he was 24 and we're in the playoffs and he went to I think it might have actually been a Drake party or a P. Diddy party during, like, an off night of the playoffs, somebody criticized that. They're like, you got to stay focused. Like, LeBron turns his cell phone off come playoffs, and I get it. But at the same time, you know, he was a young dude and it was an off night, and that's not the reason the Rockets don't win titles. But now it's looking more and more and more like the reason the Rockets don't win titles is because they're so focused on just keeping him happy that they're not willing to piss him off to win.
Yeah.
And that's a bigger problem. Like the Bulls, this is a weird thing to say because the Bulls are while they are revered for that Jordan run, they are unmistakably a poorly run franchise during that time. The owner and the GM were consistently pissing people off and having to make up relationships between people all the time. And that's an interesting thing is that somehow they had one of the best teams in the history of the NBA and they couldn't just keep everyone happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you fast forward to the Rockets and they've got maybe one of the best players of all time. And obviously they are struggling to keep the team built around him. And that's weird.
Yeah.
Although I don't begrudge a guy for if he wants to spend, listen, again, there's only 52 weeks in a year. And the idea that this guy somehow earns $44 or $48 million a year, that means you could do some real damage to the checkbook and not feel it.
Yeah, you can do some fun stuff.
Yeah. The idea that he hasn't had a couple bad nights, I'm totally okay with him going out and getting a little weird. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, basketball, somehow they've done a good enough job with the culture of the NBA that you just sort of expect an NBA player is going to go out and get a little crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't break any, like, if it would be a weirder story if this was a PGA player somehow, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, unless it's like John Daly or something.
Right. Very few players of the PGA Tour could get away with news like this. But in the NBA, this isn't embarrassing for Harden. This is embarrassing for the Rockets.
It's a rough situation, man. But I mean, again, like this is not that big of a shock to a lot of people, actually.
No, it's not, and that's so bizarre, man. Was Harden the one dating one of the Kardashians? Was that him?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Chloe. It was Chloe. Met her. She was really
That's
nice.
right. You at a UFC fight, right?
Correct.
Yeah, the world that's open to you behind the scenes just blows my mind. All right.
It is, which is why I have to wonder what I talk about. I have to watch what I talk about.
We're going to jump out to a break and we come back. We got more Nerd Thug Sports coming your way. We'll be right back. The Adventure Begins, Comics, Games, and More is open on 1488 at 525 Woodland Square Boulevard. With comics, games, and everything nerd-related, The Adventure Begins is the one-stop nerd shop. On Saturdays, they alternate between having Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, and coming up, they also have cosplay crafting and trivia nights and BYOB nights. They're currently offering a 10% discount for limited time, which will be valid for as long as you grab your books every month. Hey, Conroe, this is Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio, hanging out here, just enjoying my quarantine time at home, and I hope everyone else is doing the same, social distancing and minding their manners and listening to the orders while we get all this health crisis straightened out and get this pandemic under control. I hope everyone's doing their part to flatten the curve, but doing their part also means supporting small businesses. Local businesses here in Conroe, restaurants, things of that nature that have been able to stay open, they require the support of their community. So takeout is a good option to do. So reach out to those places, order some takeout food if you can afford it and if it's reasonable. I'm not asking anyone to risk their health, but the community has always relied on itself to support itself. And this is one of those times where, as Conroe, we can stand up together and take care of small businesses and entrepreneurs who've been taking care of us this whole time, helping Montgomery County grow into one of the fastest growing counties in all of America. Thank you very much, and stay safe, and stay tuned for more Nerd Thug Radio.
This is Rudy Tomjanovich, and welcome to Nerd Thug Radio.
Welcome back to Nerd Thug Sports right here on 104.5, 106.1, the sister stations. We're hanging out here, Corey DLG and Austin Ford, doing our Nerd Thug Sports thing. Before we go any further, I do want to make sure I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. This will be the last show on the Nerd Thug calendar for the year. We'll be airing some clip shows the rest of the year. So Friday and then the next two Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And then we'll come back strong come New Year. We got a little bit of the stuff left in the warehouse. I've got about 30 shirts I'd like to sell out. And then I've got a couple more copies of the comic book I'd like to get moved so I'm not sitting on stuff so we can move new stuff in come January. Other than that, let's get back into this. We were talking NBA. We were talking one franchise who babied someone too much. Now let's move over to another GOAT, Michael Jordan, part owner of the Charlotte Hornets. They made an interesting move this offseason in signing Gordon Hayward to a $120 million contract.
Yeah, 4 years.
It's a long time, but that's also just an obnoxious amount of money for. Did you think that he earned his money in Boston?
Oh God, no, not in Boston.
Well, no. Now in Boston, let's keep in mind, day one, week one, he has the horrific ankle foot dislocation injury.
That's so gross.
I think you and I were actually trying to watch a fight somewhere.
Yeah, and it happened right there.
It happened right, like literally when we sat down at the table, the girl just took us to the table, and I said, someone just got hurt. And it was the Celtics versus Cleveland. And I couldn't tell right away if it was Kyrie Irving or Gordon Hayward because they were both kind of sitting there for a minute together. It took him a year to get back, so I want to kind of be fair to him in that sense. But like even this last year when he was really playing well, do you think he was playing at the caliber of like a $30 million player?
No.
Okay.
No, but I mean the NBA does weird stuff like that all the time. I mean, you look at somebody like that played the Rockets signed Christian Wood, who's a decent player, right? I mean, he's decent, but did he earn over $10 million a year?
Yeah. What did they give him? They gave him, what was it, 40 for 4 or 30 for 3, something like that?
41 for 3 years.
Yeah,
that's excessive.
That's a meaty number. Now, definitely kind of guarantees that nobody else is going to bid on him, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you got weird people getting weird. Joe Harris, 4 years, $75 million. Joe Harris.
Now,
so yeah, like Gordon Hayward, 4 years, 120 is excessive, but I mean, I guess nothing surprises me, you know.
Well, I will say this: every time I explain to Nico the rules about free agency and trades in the NBA, I've had to explain to him that the NBA perpetually has to go back and make rules to protect the owners from themselves. So, like in the NBA now, you can't trade first-round draft picks back-to-back years.
Yeah.
Because the Knicks traded away so many first-round draft picks that they literally decimated their franchise. Yeah. And so the league got together and was like, okay, you have to draft somebody every other year in the first round. That's a little embarrassing, but it's the reality is the NBA perpetually does this thing where they do give guys money. Just kind of.
Daryl Morey would have 100% traded every draft pick he ever had if he could have.
Who would have?
Daryl Morey.
Oh yeah, he would have. But he would have constantly brought in weird guys, like the Ryan Anderson signing. He would have traded for guys like that all day long.
Oh, I did not like that Ryan Anderson signing either.
I think he got overpaid, but I think he was one of those first centers who could shoot. Right now in the NBA, he probably would get that contract again every day, every team in the league.
Yeah, I mean, again, nothing surprises me in the NBA anymore.
I mean, what was it, 4 years, $80 million? I mean, that's a center who starts can get that now.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's sort of the weird thing about it. Now, the TV contracts have gone up significantly, which moved the cap number up, which gave teams more spending power. But instead of maybe getting, like the Knicks this year, they went and signed a bunch of guys to like $12 to $15 million a year contracts. But it was a steady roster, basically of tradable contracts for 1 year. And that was how they spent their free agency money because they missed out on the Durant, Irving, DeAndre Jordan, everybody else sweepstakes that they were chasing. Some teams went the other way and did like the Gordon Hayward 4 year, $120 million. Obviously it begs questions like, is what he does so unique? I don't think like even if he did what he did at a higher level, would you still pay him that money?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Gordon Hayward is a guy that you kind of hear is a good teammate, like a good person to have on the team. Like, and sometimes those guys end up getting a little more dough to the right franchises.
Right.
Because of that. And like Gordon Hayward clearly is like super talented and has had some really good stints. $30 million a year? I don't know. But he's generally considered a good person to play with. Like, you don't hear complaints about Gordon Hayward anywhere. So,
and I think the Hornets have kind of had a guy in that role. You know, they had Kemba Walker, who was making about the 30 million mark, I think. And then when he went to Boston, suddenly now there's an opening for that. And so I guess sort of in a way, they're just swapping out for veteran leader, scorer, slasher types, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it was a surprise move. Anyway, he has now fractured fingers on his shooting hand, which is what sidelined a good part of his comeback season. When he was healing up from the leg injury, he came back and he kept breaking bones in the shooting hand, and he missed a pretty good amount of time.
He needs to learn how to shoot.
He needs to learn how to stop breaking bones.
No deal. Live your life.
I think I saw somewhere where he basically played 2 out of 4 seasons. Like number of games played versus games available.
He's like an NFL running back.
It's worse, but yeah, I mean, same concept. He missed all but the first 6 minutes of his first season.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of hard luck for like the Hornets. Like I feel like the Hornets are one of those teams that like I kind of want to do well. They just don't. And then they try and turn into Bobcats and then go back. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. They're a team. I think they remind me of the Portland Trailblazers a lot, or the Utah Jazz. Teams that are perpetually like every offseason, someone's like, man, if they get one more piece, like they're a team to watch. And then every year, whatever they get, they wind up just missing.
Yeah, I feel that way about Utah for sure.
You got to think Utah has had I'm blanking on his name now. No, don't do that. The kid who like blew up as a rookie, playing against us. He looks like an NBA All-Pro.
We made a lot of people look like NBA All-Pros.
Yeah, but it was Mitchell.
Oh, Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. And they've had him for 3 years, and they've yet to kind of pair him with anyone.
Yeah, they kind of go by that whole odd thing called a team, and so they don't go after these super big free agents. And again, we had this conversation last time where I really just feel like we're having these conversations and they're fun, but they don't matter. like they don't matter.
Yeah.
There's only 2, 3, maybe 4 teams that have an actual shot, and really only 1 or 2 that are really going to win it. So,
all right. So who are you putting on the list of teams that can possibly win, and then who's going to really win it?
Okay, the Lakers are going to win.
The Lakers are going to win. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Do you think it's completely foregone? You think no one can even challenge it?
I think no.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, not really. I mean, look, there's going to be teams that maybe even have better records than them, probably. Or you could have something where, like, somebody goes down. You could have LeBron or something like go down, and get hurt, unexpectedly. Not that you hope that on anybody. I'm sure there's probably several people that do hope that. But
probably.
Yeah. I mean, look, Milwaukee. Like we're going to talk about the Giannis thing in a little bit. Like Milwaukee did good. I mean, they're going to be a good team. Toronto's still going to be good. I don't know about the Clippers, but I mean, there's some teams that are going to be decent.
The Clippers are supposed to be good, but I think they're one of those teams who, when they're supposed to be, is when they're definitely not going to be.
Yeah, look, let's be clear. I'm not actually giving them a chance to win it. The Rockets are going to play good, probably whether they have Harden or not, but they're not going to win it. I mean, they're just. I mean, dude, who's going to win? Is it going to be the Bucks against the Lakers? I mean,
listen, if the Bucks played the Lakers and won it, I think the story would have to be obviously the rise of Antetokounmpo, obviously.
He's a beast. He's a guy that I said you could probably put with James Harden, just because he doesn't have to be the star or get all the attention, and I think he's enough of an actual team player to where you might be able to make that work. Now, clearly, he signed in Milwaukee, so he's not going to come to Houston. Right. I don't think that they have any desire to trade for James Harden that I know of.
Boy, that would be a big thing for them, because I feel like they're always. I think the problem for the Bucks is that they've got one guy they count on, and that's it.
There's 0% chance James Harden goes to Milwaukee. Like, there's no parties in Milwaukee. It's not happening.
That's why I think a team like Milwaukee could take him confidently. Like the strip clubs in Milwaukee can't be that good. So for them, they're like, yeah, bring him in. Yeah, that's fine. We've scouted the strip clubs. He's not going to like it here. Bring him in.
Prepare to be disappointed, sir.
Yeah. Yo, you want out of Houston? You can come to Milwaukee.
Yeah, no, I don't have any, like, to me, Milwaukee, the Lakers, maybe the 76ers.
I don't believe in them at all. I just
really,
I think they've accumulated a bunch of guys who, while always been told they're great, have any of them ever been great? You know what I mean?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't even know. I wouldn't describe any of them as great, really. But Simmons is. I like Simmons. I do like. He's a team player.
I mean, he's probably a great guy, but he can't shoot. The guy doesn't shoot the ball at all.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot. Yeah. No, the Nets are another team. Now, if Durant and Kyrie can be remotely close to what they were before, that's a team that might be able to challenge.
I think that's probably. That's a fair number two.
But see, you're not going to have the Nets playing the Bucks in the championship because in the same conference.
Yeah.
So one of those teams is going to have to play the Lakers. I mean, it's going to be the Lakers. No one's going to beat them in a 7-game series.
So you think when Steph Curry says that people are making a mistake overlooking them, that Steph Curry is wrong?
Correct.
Okay.
100% correct.
I don't think I disagree with you on that. I do think Steph Curry is wrong about that. I think he's made the mistake of assuming a little too much there. Okay. So Lakers are my number one. I think you're 100% right about that. It also seems like their bench is even better. The kid they're playing right now in the preseason is going off like averaging triple doubles as a big guy, and you're going, okay, well, that's what they really needed was more help. I think the Clippers will finish somewhere in the top 4 just to be knocked out in the first round on accident. I think Dallas is going to perform above expectations. I think if there's a time for Dallas, it's now. We kind of talk around them a little bit. I think Portland is probably the 4th best team in the West.
Yeah, they might be. I do think the Spurs are going to be better than people think, just because of what they are.
Do you remember when Greg Popovich was going to retire when Tim Duncan left?
Yes.
And he was like, when the big 3 leave here, I'm going to leave too. And then his wife died, and now I think he's just going to coach forever
now. You know, he might. And he'll probably continue to win forever.
Yeah, he'll definitely continue to make playoffs. I think last year was the first year the Spurs hadn't made the playoffs in something like 22 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, even though, like, you know, I'm a Houston person, never really was a Spurs fan. And then, you know, my buddy goes and he played for the Spurs for a really short stint. But just like I'm telling you, the vibe you get from that organization is completely different. It's so impressive. Like, I feel like they can make a winning team out of nothing.
Well, because there was something to be said about
and Popovich, like, that dude's he's such a nice guy. He's a genuinely caring person and a great coach. Like, I now pull for the Spurs because of the little interaction I had with that organization and the stories that you would hear from people that were playing in the organization, you can't help it.
Well, there was who was the Frenchman? Not Tony Parker, but the other one.
Was it
the big guy? He was kind of like a LeBron James, but old. He could shoot, he could pass, he could rebound, and he played about 5 years with San Antonio. And
was he like a center big man or like what?
He was a 3. He was a 3-4. I'm trying to think who it was. He was the other Frenchman. He played with Tony Parker is the one who suggested the Spurs sign him.
Not so it wasn't Ginobili.
No.
Ginobili.
No. It was. It'll bother me.
I'm looking this up.
Yeah, please do. He played with the big 3. And I think he might have come from Phoenix, but his career was kind of overish in Phoenix. And when he came to San Antonio, basically Popovich told him like you could do everything. I don't know why you're not out there more. Like
there's Bellinelli. You're talking about Bellinelli, Thiago Splitter, Boris Diaw.
It was Diaw.
It was Boris Diaw.
Boris Diaw.
Yeah, he's French. Yeah.
He would play 15 minutes a night and come out with like 3-4 baskets, 4 or 5 assists, 2 or 3 rebounds, and like good defense. Like his plus minus was always like almost double digits. And really, anytime they would talk to him about it, they'd be like, "Man, you're really kind of having like a second career in San Antonio." He would just flat out say that, like, "Yeah, Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches alive, and he makes me a better player."
Yeah, I believe it.
There's not a lot of teams in the NBA who do that, who like turn players back into good players.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at something here. Oh yeah, so the other team that I was wanting to look at is the Hawks. Have you seen who the Hawks have been signing?
They've been. I didn't see who they signed this free agency, but their drafting has been crazy. We're okay right here. Well, how about we come back and we get into the Hawks?
We'll do it.
Okay, all right. We'll be right back. When we come back, we're doing a plan out. The Adventure Begins, Comics, Games, and More is open on 1488 at 525 Woodland Square Boulevard. With comics, games, and everything nerd-related, The Adventure Begins is the one-stop nerd shop. On Saturdays, they alternate between having Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, and coming up, they also have cosplay crafting and trivia nights and BYOB nights. They're currently offering a 10% discount for limited time, which will be valid for as long as you grab your books every month. Hey, Conroe, this is Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio, hanging out here, just enjoying my quarantine time at home, and I hope everyone else is doing the same, social distancing and minding their manners and listening to the orders while we get all this health crisis straightened out and get this pandemic under control. I hope everyone's doing their part to flatten the curve, but doing their part also means supporting small businesses. Local businesses here in Conroe, restaurants, things of that nature that have been able to stay open, they require the support of their community. So takeout is a good option to do. So reach out to those places, order some takeout food if you can afford it and if it's reasonable. I'm not asking anyone to risk their health, but the community has always relied on itself to support itself. And this is one of those times where, as Conroe, we can stand up together and take care of small businesses and entrepreneurs who've been taking care of us this whole time, helping Montgomery County grow into one of the fastest growing counties in all of America. Thank you very much, and stay safe, and stay tuned for more Nerd Thug Radio.
Hi, this is Kevin Smith, former Dallas Cowboy, Texas A&M Aggie as well, and I want to say what's up to Nerd Thug Radio.
All right, welcome back to Nerd Thug Sports right here on 104.5, 106.1, the sister stations, streaming worldwide at irlonestar.com. As always, check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/Nerd Thug Sports. That's where the magic happens. That's where we do, really whatever we want, because it's our Facebook page. With me as new show host, Austin Ford, and then myself, Corey DLG. All right, so you had the roster pulled up for the Hawks. Now, they have drafted well. Trae Young. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Trae Young?
Yeah, Trae Young. Yeah, from Oklahoma.
The kid who could literally shoot a 3 ball from anywhere in the building.
Anywhere.
And then they had somebody, but I didn't like him. But like he's good. The other guard, the one who Schroeder, the one who always messes his hair color up.
Oh yeah. He's not. He doesn't play for them anymore.
Oh, okay. Where's he now?
I think he was with the Knicks last time I looked.
That makes sense. But who are these guys signed here? Because I know they have Capella.
So, yeah, so like they got Capella, John Collins, Trae Young, okay, and they just signed Danilo Gallinari and Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Oh,
so like they're getting that. Like this is exactly what I was telling you before with the Spurs that I personally really like. So you see this the foreign player vibe coming in there now, right?
Yeah.
Like Capella, Gallinari, Bogdanovic, and then you guys got like Trae Young that could shoot it freaking from anywhere in the building.
Anywhere.
John Collins, Rajon Rondo, who's a very unselfish player.
Did Rondo really leave the Lakers?
He's with Atlanta.
Wow. Okay, that surprises me. Okay.
Yeah, he signed a 2-year deal with Atlanta. So, and then you got a couple of the young guys that are, kind of shooters too, that Kevin Huerter and DeAndre Hunter, and then just some good veterans and stuff like that. Solomon Hill, Tony Snell, guys like that. But I mean, the main thing is you think about that roster: Clint Capella, John Collins, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Trae Young, and Rajon Rondo with Danilo Gallinari. I mean, I think they're a solid team. I do. They were the team that I was kind of leaving out.
I don't hate their lineup at all. I don't know. My only problem with that lineup is the guards are really small.
That's true. The guards are small, but I mean, they don't have to stay small. Like, Trae Young, in my opinion, depending on who they're playing, you can have Bogdan or Gallinari. Well, not really quite as much Gallinari, but Bogdanovic, he can play shooting guard.
No,
he's not.
He could move him over for sure. Bogdanovic really proved himself to be versatile.
Yeah, he is not small. So if Trae Young is your point guard, Bogdanovic is your shooting guard, that's not even close to a small lineup.
Right. Yeah, no, you could do.
I think they could sneak up on people. I think that could be one of the teams that really kind of pushes.
Well, the East is definitely a lot more open than the West. So I would say you could really see them anywhere, and I wouldn't disagree with that at all. You could see them go anywhere from from 6th to maybe 3rd in the East. And I think that's fair. I do like what they've done team-wise. I like that they've stayed young and stayed cap flexible. I guess ultimately it comes down to every team. So Gallinari has played on several teams now, and so has Rondo. And every team has been like, these are the guys, these are the pieces that we need to build the winner. And they're almost never on the winning team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. There are certain people that are. You say that about like, hey, we need these guys to be winners, and then they actually do win.
Right.
They are not them.
Right. Like there's been so Rondo, when he was with the Big Three in Boston, yes, they won. Obviously, they won two titles, one title. They beat the Lakers, and then they lost to the Lakers. Right. So 1 out of 2.
Yeah, I think 1.
And then I think he won 1 for sure. I know 1 with LA, and I think he won 1 somewhere else on the bench as a backup. But then there's whole runs where Rajon Rondo is on teams where he's the starter, then they bench him, and then they want to trade him, where he's arguing with coaches, where he can't get along with people. The Big Three from Boston, I know they don't talk to Ray Allen because he left and went to Miami and helped LeBron, and that made everyone mad. But Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett still talk, and they're still friends, and yet both of them have trouble talking to Rajon Rondo, apparently.
Yeah, which is kind of weird whenever you see that, because it's like Rajon Rondo. A lot of times you see that kind of attitude with big scorers, but Rajon Rondo's never really been that.
No, he's not a scorer at all.
So it's like on the court, he's super unselfish, but no one likes him.
Right. This is a guy who's going to get you the ball so much that you're going to score 30, and you still don't want to be around him.
Yeah, that's such a weird dynamic, isn't it? What does it say about Rajon Rondo?
That's kind of my point. Is like, I don't think people like him at all. As a matter of fact, I want to say that there was a game like I think he was a Timberwolf, and they played a primetime game, and he went off and had like 18 assists, and the coach was mad about it, and it's because the 2 weeks before that he was averaging 7. And he's like, "Oh, they put the cameras here, and suddenly Rajon Rondo could pass the ball." You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
It's got to be incredibly frustrating to coach somebody like that.
Yeah, I'd imagine it is. But I mean, you never know. You never know. I know they were bad last year. The Hawks were bad last year, but that's kind of
I don't hate them as a pick, like a sneaky pick, especially 3 big signings that can really help them, because Bogdanovich is a big deal. I think Bogdanovich is a good player. My trouble is, like we've just said, with Gallinari and with Rondo. Those are 2 guys who have been on multiple teams where somebody said, "This is the piece we need," and then it never works out. Let me do this ad real quick, then we're going to get into the Greek Freaks, Rich for Life now. Let me tell you guys about my friends at The Adventure Begins, Comics, Games, and More. Let me run you down some dates here to get us through the rest of the year. Sunday, December 13th at 4 p.m., it's Adventures League. Oh, that already happened. Okay. On Friday, December 18th at 7 p.m., it's Star Wars X-Wing Casual Game Night. Saturday, December 19th at 2 p.m., it's Pokemon and more Pokemon. It's a casual meetup for all level players. And Saturday, December 19th at 6 p.m., it's Warhammer time. Get out there, bring your armies, come play Warhammer with other fellow enthusiasts. I know Austin will be there. He knows how to play Warhammer.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
You have no idea how to play a tabletop game.
I will bring my Warhammer.
You're not allowed in public if you do that. I think that's the rule. It's The Adventure Begins, Comics, Games, and More, right there on 1488. It's clean, well-lit, family-friendly. The staff is awesome. It's where I get my comic books. It's where we play our games. We just had a sold-out Digimon event there. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff with them come New Year. Come hang out. Come get your nerd on right there at The Adventure Begins, 1488. Support local. Be a part of the community. These guys are awesome to hang out with. All right, so the Greek Freak signed his Milwaukee Bucks extension. It's worth talking about for 2 reasons. First of all, forever, people would tell you that a small market team can't keep a player, can't afford to keep a player. Milwaukee is going to give him $228 million over the next 5 years. Doesn't that pretty much just poo-poo on the idea that an NBA team can't afford to pay a player?
I mean, I think it does, but I think I've said this before. Like, he's just a different breed. This guy's a different breed. There's not a lot of people that are going to do this at all.
Like stay in Milwaukee?
Yes. Whoever has, first off.
Kevin Garnett stayed forever in Minnesota. If they would have won anything, I think he would have retired there. Straight through.
Yeah, but I mean, think about how long ago that was.
No, you're right. I know. I'm just trying to think of it is few and far, and it's rare, a player who wants to stay small market.
Yeah,
and
but
when
you're
Kevin
right.
Garnett was there in Minnesota, Stephon Marbury was right there with him for about 2 years, and then he won it out. So you're definitely right. Most players aren't going to want to be there.
I think that, this definitely is always going to present an argument from this point on that it can be done if both parties want it bad enough. Because a lot of times these small market teams have no real incentive to give that deal either. Because, again, they're small market teams. They don't want to be shelling out that kind of dough.
Do you think, but at this point, the NBA is so rich. Like, the NBA is just cash rich at this point. Like, I don't believe anymore that I think, listen, in 1997, there probably were a couple of franchises who couldn't afford to sign 2 guys to a max contract. That's probably true. I don't think that's true anymore.
Yeah, it's not. And I do hope that they are able to get him some more help, because I really like the way he plays. I really like the way he plays. He obviously has a good head on his shoulders to want to stay in Milwaukee.
What's interesting is because he's foreign born, I think to him there's an element of like, I don't want to say this the wrong way. I'm not trying to say Greece is a third world country, but like, he grew up differently than the players here who have an idea of like, if I'm in the NBA, then I need to be in the spotlight. And for him, he was in Greece, so the entire NBA is the spotlight.
Oh yeah, but again, I think we've had these conversations before. They're brought up differently. There's no mistake about that. The aura around being a professional basketball player overseas and here are looked at differently. Over there, yes, it's still an honor. It's still really cool. Like, you're still looked up to, all that stuff. But here, there's a different aura about it. Like, it's a very me-oriented accomplishment here in the United States.
Yeah, that's
like,
true. I mean, no, I
is.
don't despair that. I think that's accurate. I think it's also part of the structure of how we do this. You're brought up as a superstar solo through high school, through AAU, through college, and then you're expected to become a part of a team in the pros. Whereas in Europe, these guys can play in a team as young as 16 if they're good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the systems are different, and I think that helps a lot. Is listen, if I'm in high school and I want to go to the NBA, I got to outshine everybody else every night. Like, I have to be me-centered in order to be successful, or just be 7 feet tall.
Yes.
I mean, if I'm 7 feet tall when I'm 14, I'm probably going to the NBA.
Yeah. Or the doctor. It's a pituitary condition.
But the reality is, we force these kids to be stars, and then when they get to the NBA, we go, "Hey, man, you're just one of the guys," and it doesn't work that way. And I know it doesn't work that way, and I get that part of it. And we celebrate the individual a little bit more here in America. Like, it's sort of about what have you done, not necessarily what the team does. But yeah, I just feel like there's I think Giannis kind of kills the small market team argument. Now it's just about teams who want to go get it. And I think there's a lot of teams who don't want to invest the money in the players and develop the players. I think Utah just doesn't want to develop the players. Like, Denver is clearly developing players.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they're developing enough good players. Like, I left them off my list on purpose. They'll probably make the playoffs, but I think they're still a 6 seed because they just don't have anybody. But they are clearly developing players and investing in players. I think Utah is doing almost the exact opposite. Donovan Mitchell's enough to fill the seats and keep us competitive, and you haven't seen them do anything else.
Yeah, and they probably won't.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think they probably won't.
But Donovan Mitchell is not Giannis either.
No, for sure, no. But he's enough to fill seats and enough to win
any of these
40 games, 30 games.
Any of these teams, they're gonna have to have a small market team. Yes, they're going to be able to sign Supermax, keep people there, but you have to have the right player that doesn't feel the need to go to New York or LA and be in the spotlight. I mean, and that's going to be few and far between, in my opinion, unless it's a foreign player.
Well, and I think what will start to happen also is as more players get into the league like this, and I'm about to touch on this before we get out of here. I think what will happen is agents and managers will start telling players, like, look, other players already have this team and that team. This is the only team left to kind of own and be a part of like this. Just sign. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that we can force our way onto another team with another Supermax. You just kind of need to sign here.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is the Memphis Grizzlies, they just did their options for all these. Listen to this lineup of young talent they've got. They just exercised the 21-22 options for NBA Rookie of the Year, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, and Grayson Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of young talent in the league. And I think what's going to happen is, and there's only so many Supermaxes to go around, right? Like, so I think we could see teams maybe at some point the NBA might have more than 32 stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then there's only so many people who can go around. All right. That's kind of it for us today. I want to make sure and say happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everybody. Austin, anything you want to say to everybody before we kind of wrap it up here?
Nope.
All right, there you go. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, listen to that. You got a Merry Christmas.
But only Merry Christmas.
Yeah. How's that make you feel, Chewbacca's? I don't know why I targeted them. I'm sorry. Anyway, we're gonna jump out. We're gonna have a great couple weeks here. I hope everyone does. Stay safe. Keep your head down. Wash your hands. Social distance. All that stuff. The vaccines are getting made right now, so everyone sign up, get a shot. We can all go back to work and go back to doing things that we were doing before, like going out and going to games in person. I didn't get to go. I'm not going to go to a Texans game all year because of the coronavirus. So let's just kind of try and get over all that, guys. Fight the power. Black Lives Matter. Thank you for listening. Everybody have a great holiday. We will see you next year. All right, man. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, buddy.
All right. We will, yeah. I'm going to a Christmas party on Friday. I don't know what else you got going on this weekend or whatever. But maybe we can meet up or something after work Saturday or something.
Yeah, let's get together and get some drinks or something.
All right. If nothing else, I guess maybe I'll see you New Year's.
Yeah, for sure. I'll try and get the ball rolling on that too.
Okay. All right, man. I will talk to you later. Hey, I'll probably text you. I meant to text you the link last week for the show, and I didn't. That's my fault. I'll text you the link this time, and then, yeah, if you want to maybe post some stuff and help me unload the rest of these shirts for the end of the year, just try and empty everything so we can start printing new stuff next year.
Okay.
All right.